Hi, Jeffrey here. So this video is a commentary on my drawing of the dog named Broudy. I made this drawing for a client of mine, and my client gave it as a Christmas gift to her sister. As always, when I draw portraits, I start by drawing the face. In this case, this attempt was my first attempt of drawing him, and it didn't quite look like the reference image I was using. So then I decided to start over. So what you're seeing now is my second attempt at drawing Broudy. I started by drawing the eyes and nose, which were difficult because they had a lot of subtle changes in color. Also, the outlines around them were not clearly defined. So I had to slowly and steadily draw bit by bit until the eyes and nose started to resemble my reference image. Then I drew his mouth, which was also difficult because it wasn't clearly outlined and didn't have very clear distinction between it and the rest of the fur. But after I drew those, I started to draw the fur on his face. The most difficult part about drawing this dog is that his fur is very light, meaning I have to use very light colors and push them very gently into the paper. But I still have to show the depth and three-dimensionality of the dog. So that means being very subtle in changing from light to dark and using the pencils very delicately when drawing. Another challenge, along with how light the dog's fur is the pattern or the patterns in his fur. There are a lot of curls, and there isn't one defined length or direction of grain for the fur. So I have to be constantly looking around the fur for recognizable features that are distinct from others so my eyes don't get lost while drawing. And even though his fur is white, there's a lot of subtle changes in different colors in the fur as well. So I have around 10 different colored pencils in my one hand, and I switch between them using my drawing hand. Here I am drawing his arms, and the bottom of his arms, lying against the carpet below, are noticeably darker than the top of his arms. So I have to use color pencils and show that gradual transition while also not losing track of the pattern in his fur, while also switching between different colors. And if ever my eyes get a little lost as to where I am in the fur, I pause, take a look around, and slowly look back and forth between my reference image and my drawing and make sure everything is in alignment in terms of the features, and then slowly continue on. It's easier to lose track of where you are when drawing compared to the reference image in the middle of his torso than it is on the edges. Here I am drawing his stomach area, which is also darker and has more shadows. And here I am drawing his back. His back and his tail has subtle beige colors. So I add in additional color pencils that are similar or approximate to those colors. And then here I draw one of his feet. His paws are just subtly visible, so I draw them in a little bit as well. The patterns of his fur change subtly from one area to another. Some areas the fur is a little bit longer and curls more, and some areas it's a little bit shorter and faces the viewer more. So after I complete drawing his tail, I've completed drawing him. So this is how the drawing looks up to this point, and after this I start to draw the background or the carpet in which he's sitting. Now if you've watched my 4 levels of drawing details video, which I'll link in the description below, I draw this dog to level 3 detail because that's the budget that my client can afford. And then for the carpet, I make it a little less detailed than the dog. I would say around level 2.5. The carpet is harder to follow because the fibers are smaller than the dog's fur. So what I do is I roughly approximate an area with my eyes on my reference image and then use that to roughly draw some of the fibers on the drawing, but they don't match exactly the reference image, obviously, because like I said, it's impossible there's nothing recognizable that stands out among all the fibers, so your eyes can get easily lost. So I slowly work my way around the drawing. For some areas below the dog, there's more shadows, so I shade them using more force with the grays that I use for the carpet. Another aspect is trying to make the carpet so that the dog stands out from the carpet and they don't blend together and the dog gets lost. The colors I use for both the dog and the carpet are very similar. So what I do is I shade around the dog a little darker so the dog has kind of an outline to further stand out from the carpet. I try my best to capture the subtle changes in shading on the carpet. How I do this is after I draw the fibers, I look at my reference image on a larger scale of the large shadows and shade in based on that. Finally, I add in the finishing touches and shade in areas that are still a little unshaded. And then that's it. That's this drawing completed. I add my signature and the date. And finally, here's a zoomed in look at the drawing completed while I pan through it. I hope you enjoyed this commentary and found it helpful. If you like the content that I make, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you so much for all of your support. It means a lot to me. Have a great day.